And we're rolling in short here late this evening, talking about an act of anti-white terrorism, which I see some people in this community. JK160 was out of the gates very quickly. And so I salute everybody who is calling this anti-white terrorism and the individual identifying him as an anti-white terrorist. He is not his race. He is not his religion. None of that matters to us when an anti-white inflicts injury, victimization on Western kind. They forfeit all of that in our eyes, and they become nothing more than an evil character in our story. That is the only way Western kind will recapture our destiny. Reading here, Crime, Law, and Justice, killing a Fargo police officer leaves questions about motive. Now, of course, that's what the anti-whites would say. They know exactly what this is. We know exactly how it would be couched if it were any white person that pulled a firearm or sword or crossbow or whatever it might be, Bowie knife, out of their trunk and began murdering non-white people. There would not be a motive unknown position. And that's because we live inside of the anti-white narrative, which is almost entirely fiction and which fictionalizes real events. This is going to be a hush crime. It's another meme curative that we use in the Go Free method. The Fargo Police Department is reeling from what the police chief called one of the most horrific days in the department's history, after 3 Fargo police officers were shot late Friday afternoon on a busy street. The suspected gunman also was shot and killed by a 4th officer. The shooting happened when 2 training officers and 2 trainees who joined the force this year were responding to what Police Chief David Zybolski said was a routine traffic accident. The suspected gunman had no connection to the accident that was known at the time. So he had no connection. Absolutely incorrect. Absolutely misleading. He lives also within the anti-white narrative, where he learns from, if he's here from birth till death, dawn till dusk, 7 days a week, and the totality of the year, that the white race is demonic, that the white race is responsible for all of the wrongs and ills and the victimization of the world, that the white race has stolen from his people and all peoples, that the white race exploits his people and all peoples, that he can't get ahead in the world, and that his family or friends can't get ahead in the world, and that they suffer endlessly because of the white race. In countless iterations, literally countless iterations in news and, most importantly, entertainment media, in books, in TV shows, in movies, in made-for-TV movies, in plays. This anti-white narrative is played out before his eyes and before all of the inhabitants of Western civilization's attentions. And as such, he believes he lives in this fictional world. He believes, as a consequence of the subconscious mind's inability to tell the difference between fact and fiction, that this is the actual world. That these white people, these white police officers, for example, aren't striving with their own hardships, dealing with their own drama, struggling to get ahead, especially struggling to get in ahead that tells them that everything in the world goes easy for them, comes easy for them. And in reality, they know that they are discriminated against in hiring and in personal and business loans and government contracts and admission to university and etc. on the basis of their race. That they are actually struggling against this is immaterial. Each of these white people that he gunned down, this anti-white terrorist bastard, cur, dog, each of these people that he gunned down, should he end up being, I guess, how do they do that? Do they There's no trial to be held since he was gunned down. They're saying suspected here, so I'm not quite sure. Maybe there'll be a determination. Each of these individuals represented the whole of Western kind's greatest. The great wealth, the great health, the great looks, the great heritage that is handed down from the past, the great expectations for those who had achieved such heights in living and recorded memory. They were the avatars of all of that. They were also the avatars of that evil character in all of the movies and all of the books. Avatars that, like the evil in these fictional instruments, needed to be exterminated. There was no happenstance about this. The suspected gunman had no connection except being a player in the anti-white narrative. Officer Jake Willen died from his wounds, and you're looking at the young man here. How young was he? Was he in his early 30s or was he in his 20s? He died from his wounds. He was a recent hire, officially joining the Fargo Police Department in April. He also was in the Minnesota Army National Guard. So, true to form of young white men that so many white women don't value, putting their lives on the line for the safety of those white women, for the safety of everyone in our civilization in various ways, building and maintaining that infrastructure, policing and securing our existence within an increasingly rotten and violent society, because being white erased does that to the West. And here he is gunned down in the prime of his life, a family that will never be had, a father that he, I guess, will never be, an uncle that he may never be. As a consequence, no tearful reportage of the families and the extended families and everybody who loved this young man who was out there brand new to the force and a service member in the National Guard. And there were others who were also shot in grievous state as a consequence of this anti-white terrorism. This article goes on to explain, it shows here like a quote from Willen, quote, "My desire to serve, it comes directly from the want to have purpose behind my job each and every day," close quote. The late officer said on the video, "I want to be out. I want to be doing something that I can tell myself at the end of the day, I made a difference somehow." These are the people that anti-whiteism is robbing from us. These are the heroes that make society functional, that make it worth living within. These and the others who are now maimed, bullets streaking through your body, folks, is not like the movies. People don't just show up in the next scene with a bandage around their shoulder. They have pieces of organ and intestines removed, pieces of lung removed, sinew ripped straight from their body by the explosive velocity of the rounds. These people are maimed and psychologically damaged as a consequence of this anti-white terrorism. Nothing's going to be said in the news and establishment media. This won't be going global because it's a hush crime, because it contradicts the anti-white narrative in which white people are always the villains and non-white people are always the wrongly put upon, long-suffering good guys. That's why you'll see no more about this. And here's something else to think about. As you send prayers to his family and the family of the other officers and the family of the young woman who was also shot and who was involved in the traffic accident, in the hope that they can recover to the best of our Western medical science ability to aid them, and that their spirits will recover over time, especially Willen's family. those who loved him dearly, who will forever suffer his loss. Here's the thing to think about. If you and we continue to go down the path of white negativity, of blaming the religion, of blaming the race, of anti-whites, we will never come together as a people. And if we never come together as a people, we will never be able to protect ourselves individually. This is a prediction I can make to you. As sure as the sunrise tomorrow. As anti-whiteism reaches further and further into its zenith, as it corrupts and pollutes the minds of every being living within the West, if there isn't the counter in the form of the Go Free method that undermines the psychological warfare that is anti-whiteism, these acts that seem random and senseless and will continue to be said so to you by the established media will increase in number. They will increase in severity. They will increase in body count. And it won't be because of Satanists. It won't be because of a loss of faith in this or that religion. It won't be because we don't have enough state rights. It will be because there is an ideology that imbues the population with the idea that veritable demons live among them. And heroes, as they see themselves, pull their guns from their trunks, pull their sabers from their back seats, and they strike down the demons in their believed and misconceived self-righteousness. If you don't go free, we're all going to hell.